Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Emmett Emery Sr. You Better Stand Your Watch podcast. Today's topic is going to center around the subheading itself. You better stand your watch. When we talk about standing your watch, so we're going to ping a little bit off of the title itself, standing your watch. Before we get started, I'd like to give some high praise and congratulations to a good friend of mine, to CEO Jonathan Torres and COO John Gutierrez for the grand opening of Superb Staffing Solution located in Tampa, Florida. I had a great honor of going there, doing their grand opening. And I went there just to blend in. Apparently, usually I go places I don't blend in for some strange reason. I don't know why, but people notice me. So he spotted me soon I came in. He was talking like 7, 8 people that were talking about Jose Gutierrez. That's a good friend of mine. The CEO, Jonathan Torres, came all the way from Tennessee to the ceremony. And he called me over. We talked for a little bit. Then he walked away and he came back and said, you know when someone want to ask you something and they look at you, put the head down, So I know he's going to ask me something. He said, you know, I've been following you for a while, your podcast. I said, okay. This dude want money, he want time. He said, I've been following you for a while on your podcast. He said, and then he looked me straight in my eyes. He said, the pastor that supposedly came here and prayed over the ceremony said he's not going to be able to come because his child is sick. So he called in and said he couldn't do it. But I remember that you're a pastor. He said, so would you mind doing the opening ceremony? First thing came to mind was, once a pastor, always a pastor. So you better not tell this man no. You always got to do the work of the Lord. I said, yes, no problem. So I went there to blend in. And I ended up giving the opening prayer section. Okay, that's fine. No problem giving prayer. I prayed over the food, prayed over the ceremony. I stayed there for about 20 or 30 minutes. And on the way out, I got stopped by several individuals. You know, I'm having this situation at home. I need some prayer. You know, I'm having this situation at work. I need prayer. I said, oh, my God. So I ended up being there longer than I wanted to. I haven't haven't walked in the role of pastoral since 2012. Yep, since 2012. But I'm still there to do weddings, to do prayer and things of that nature. But I've never done 4 or 5 prayer for individual right there on the spot. So thank you for inviting me. And wonderful gentleman Jose is. And see you, we can do lunch. Not dinner, we're going to do lunch. Next, I like to give out birthday celebrations. I like to wish my big sister Marianne a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Marianne. She hit the big 7-0, and she looked like she in her early 60s. So I don't know if she can run that 2.5 miles anymore, but happy birthday, big sis. Next, my sister-in-law, Jennifer. Happy birthday, Jennifer. I'm not going to tell you her age because I value my life. Next is my granddaughter, Ariana. And next is my wife, Yosemite. And last but not least is my grandson by marriage, and his name is Grayson. So happy birthday, the end of January and February birthday to everyone. And I'd like to also say happy Black History Month to all the individuals who celebrate Black history and my culture. Now let's get into this podcast. Standing Your Watch was a reference to the book of Ezekiel in the Christian Bible. The watchman metaphor draws upon the ancient practice of practicing sentinels on the walls of the cities to stay focused and stand firm, and sound alarms and alarm inhabitants of approaching danger. Similarity, Ezekiel is tasked with sounding the spiritual alarm, calling the people to turn from their wickedness and return to God. Similarity, I use the metaphor, you better stand your watch, for you to stand firm, stay focused, and sound alarm in your household and at your work site. Setting your watch in the workplace involves following core principles and procedures, such as procedural compliance. Means that every step in the procedure must be understood and performed. There must be no deviations. That's what standing your watch come in at. Now, you stand your watch and follow the procedures, policy procedures that presented to you, or you stand your watch and follow the direction that's given to you. What do I mean by that? When I was working with supply chain management, I was the director of operations for this facility. And I was there for about 3 weeks before this incident happened. Well, FDA, USDA came in because of food distribution center. They came in for an inspection based upon a complaint by a customer. And as they came in, they wanted to walk the warehouse and see the product and the product that the customer was complaining about. Well, when I called the warehouse and told them we got FDA and USDA here for inspection, I want the warehouse manager to come out and escort us to the warehouse. Well, I got a call back saying, hey, we're not ready. Ready for what? We always ready for inspection. If we following the proper safety checks, we following the proper shelf life, we following everything that's put in place, and you following the checklist, daily checklist that you do, then we in place. They said no. The vice president have us pull meat out and unthaw it for 10 days, and then he'll sell it to a certain client. I said, no, we're not doing that. You know how the stereo and all sorts of bacterial settings? He said, no, we got the email last night, the overnight crew, to pull it out. And they pulled it out. And on the side, we got 10 boxes on the side of the freezer. They said, so I need to get someone so we can put it in the freezer. I said, no, we don't. I said, leave it out there. Yeah, but we're going to get in trouble. I said, no, we're not going to get in trouble. I said, we're going to follow policy and procedure that was written. The individual that told you to do that, let them deal with the situation. It's okay. They started walking towards the warehouse, and then the vice president came running out the office. Too late. I thought, let's go into the warehouse. I told him, I said, I have no idea what this is. Started checking temperatures, out of temperature. So what you plan on doing with that? Oh, we're going to unthaw it, then put it back in the freezer, then we're going to ship it out tonight. He looked at me, I said, I have no idea what's going on. I said, but since I'm the direct operation, I take full responsibility of it. I said, we don't even look any further. I said, the next time you come out inspection, I said, you're not going to come back out again. I said, I make sure all this is taken care of. Then that just opened up the opportunity for him to walk the warehouse and look for other stuff. I mean, he went on the dry side. He's supposed to be up for the cold side. So you may need to make that decision on, are you going to follow procedure and compliance to the limit? Or are you going to do what someone else tells you to do? By me following procedure and compliance, the inspector said, okay. He said, we're not going to hold you to penalties and fines. We're not going to shut down the facility because you've been honest with us. Next, questioning attitude. Seems obvious, but many times the ingrained habits of the highly experienced can breed complacency or ignorance. Based on what I said. I'm up here. I've been here for a while in this position, and I know I told you guys to do inspections every Friday. But I'm busy this Friday, and I'm supposed to come down and check. I'm busy this Friday. I'm not going to come down and check. The next Friday come. Oh, I'm busy this Friday. I'm not going to come down and check. 2 months pass. You do not have those checklists up to date in that log, inspection log. And then someone pop in for an unexpected inspection. And then that person turns their head and they blame the other person in the warehouse in charge. Questioning attitude. We become complacent because we think we have seen it all, or someone says that is how we do it here, or has always been done that way. I'm sure you heard people or work with people who's like that. Or make sure you do that thorough check and check underneath that. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. But the instruction says a 6-point check. Now you only do 4 points. Ain't nobody gonna check it. We always do it that way. Forceful backup can be difficult at times, especially when a younger or less experienced individual is backing up an older or more experienced individual. Why is it difficult? Because sometimes the older experienced individual don't want to train the younger individual, whether it be not letting go, whether it be in fear of their own job, because a lot of older experienced individuals get these young individuals in, call them young whippersnappers back in the day, and they sharp. And yes, they have the ability to take the older person's job. But they will do everything within their power to make sure that that individual, that backup, do not get the knowledge, education, or the experience from them to advance or succeed. Level of knowledge is perhaps the most important. Watch standing principle because it determines if the others can be followed. Level of knowledge. If you don't know anything, and your level of knowledge is not where it should be, who can you direct? Because sometimes the individual underneath you know more than you do. Have you ever been in those situations where you know more than your boss? Your boss comes out, go to the meetings, and then come back and ask you guys to do things, and then you walk around and see how it's done, and he don't understand how you're getting it done and getting it done efficiently and correctly. So when the boss come down and walk with him, him or her, they will walk with you, and then they'll walk with the boss and ask you to come over. And as you come over, they say, oh, explain it to them. They don't have a clue what's going on. But they ask you to explain it. You explain it, then that means you knows it. Integrity. Doing what is right when no one is looking. That's very difficult for some. But I will tell you this. Everybody's looking. Somebody's looking at some point in time. And the distribution center was 100 square foot or 1 million square foot. That's cameras there. In the inside and outside. Where you're working in office complexes, they got cameras outside the building and inside the building too. So someone's always watching. You know how they say big brother always watching? We all know it's big brother, but somebody is watching. It also means having the guts to say you make a mistake and having an environment where someone is allowed to do so. I mean, admit that you make a mistake. Don't be so arrogant. Don't be so stuck on yourself where you think you are Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect, that you don't make mistakes, that if you did make mistakes, you put the mistake on someone else. Why? Because you don't have that environment where mistakes are allowed. Don't you know mistakes allow you to have growth? That means individuals that make that mistake won't make that mistake again. Or if you make a mistake, you'll understand how to combat that mistake, or you put things in place so the mistake won't happen again. Only way you're going to find out how to treat things effectively is to make mistakes. They call it sampling in research. So you do those samples. Them samples are going to come out positive and negative. If it's a negative sample, you're going to make sure now you know what to do to make it positive. Communication. Oh, my God. Dr. Emmett talking about communication again. Oh, the past 2 years, this dude been talking about communication. Why is he stuck on communication? Because if you don't communicate, there's nothing positive going to happen. Whether it be nonverbal, verbal, you have to communicate. Whether you don't communicate, there's no growth. When you don't communicate, there's no interceding. Misunderstanding what someone says can have catastrophic effects. So if you don't communicate, you won't get the proper understanding of what someone says. You assume that someone said something that they didn't say. You assume body language meant something that it did not mean. You assume that the person threw the wrong finger up. No, I don't get it all that. Standing your watch with your young kids and teenagers. Very important, parents. This is parents standing your watch, whether it's a single parent or dual parents, 2 household parents. Or sometimes you have a 4 household parents. That means you have the grandparents and the parents. Well, I take that back. Because grandparents are already parent. If they're the same type of grandparent I am, all we doing is spoiling the grandkids. So actually, the parents end up developing and training the kids and watching the grandparents at the same time. Gotta love it. We went through the same thing with them. Have realistic and age-appropriate expectations. So often you have these expectations for a 17-year-old that you have for a 13-year-old. You have to separate the expectations through the growth. You're not going to buy a child shoes at age 10 and tell them to wear them same shoes to age 17 because they're going to continue to grow. That's the same thing as far as the appropriate expectations. The kids continue to grow. As they continue to grow culturally, then their peer grows too. The peers grow too. Now you got peer pressure on them. But you don't want the expectation, inappropriate age expectation. Meaning the key is to have expectation that match their age and ability. So they can be 17 and so immature. So immature. I mean, the boy could be a mama's boy, and the girl could be a daddy's girl. And whenever one parent says something to two household parent, they run to that parent. Or they get what they want, or they say what they want. Sometimes they disrespect for everything else. I don't understand why parents bring that upon themselves. Allow that to happen. Especially in a two-parent household. You're supposed to be working together as a unit anyway. So one not supposed to override the other. You're supposed to be working as a joint unit. Where that child understands that they materialize and get and develop, that they need to work as a unit too if they have a companion or partner in the household, and it's not an individual thing. Set clear rules and limits. Not only should we make reasonable rules and limits according to our kids' age and maturity, but that we should also make clear to our kids. Don't set the rules, and the only person know the rules is the parents. And then when the child do something, especially at teenage age, that child do something and come back in, you'll say, you know better. I told you that. That child will be like, I don't remember that person. I don't remember that conversation. Well, you don't listen to me. That's why you don't remember it. You know good and well you ain't said that to that child. You know those rules and regulations you had up there in their head, but you never shared it with the child. Some parents do that just to aggravate that child. Some parents do that because they think it's a method to use to get the child to fall into place. Have that child thinking, well, did that parent really say that? No, that child might say that. And that child, actually, you know if that child know if you actually said that, told them that or not. If you actually said it. Will they look at you dumbfounded? If they look at you like a dog do with their head turned, then you know that you full of crap. You know you didn't tell that child that. That child probably said, oh, what level can I trust my parent? Have predictable and clear consequences. Your clarity should also extend to your consequences. Your clarity should also extend to your consequences. That means you have to be clear. You have to have clarity. You have to be clear. You have to be precise, and it have to line up with your consequence. Don't say, be in by 10 o'clock. If you don't come in by 10 o'clock, well, you're going to be on punishment for 5 days. What? How did the 5 days line up to that 10 o'clock? So if they don't come in at 10 o'clock, you say the first time you don't come in at 10, then the second time, then the third time. Make sure you have clear expectations to make sure they line up. Mean what you say, but do so without shouting. When I was growing up, and when I raised my kids, I raised my kids the same way I grew up. And back in the day when I was growing up, I mean, you didn't have no choice but to yell because you raised that way. My mom used to raise her voice from one side of the room. You little, did I tell you to sit down? Oh, did I just say that? Did I tell you to sit down? Don't make me come over there. You're like, wait a minute. I thought we was a mile apart. I mean, just yell. And then so you're accustomed to doing that. So I was accustomed to doing that, but I kind of got away from it when I got in the military with the first set of kids. I had to be mean because my mom was mean. I felt that intimidation worked and meanness worked to keep the child in place. Now understanding that conversation and caressing a little bit more effective. So I raised my kids the same way. And then I slowed down. And then I became a drill sergeant before I discharged. And we was yelling at the recruits, yelling throughout the room, boom, 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 boom. And I took it home. To this day, I can't get away from that. I did it for 3 years, yelling for 3 years. So sometimes when my voice rises up, I'm yelling. Then when I hear myself, I bring it down. Use a neutral tone. The tone of voice can significantly impact how our little ones perceive our discipline. Your tone should vary with the age of the child. If you have a 2-year-old and you yell at that child, and that child jump and then seem kind of nervous and scared, that means you affected that child. And you don't know how you affected that child as far as that person responding to things. It could be a nervous thing. It could be they don't trust people. It could be when someone yells at them, they automatically jump, or the reflexes and things of that nature. It allows you to avoid making your child feel belittled or threatened. That goes with the watch what you say. Do it without shouting. Because you think about it. Verbal abuse is no less damaging than physical abuse. And those two I mentioned, last two I mentioned, is a form of verbal abuse. It's abuse. So you got to figure out how to raise your child without abusing them. I can't tell you that. Only you and your spouse or you, the individual, can figure that out. Spare the rod. I grew up in a generation where no rods were spared. When we were disciplined, I mean, you got disciplined by the neighbors, you got disciplined by your parent, you got disciplined by your siblings. I mean, you got disciplined so much, boy, you like, maybe I should start giving some of this out. No. It worked for us then, but it's not something you should use to your kids in today's generation. In short, physical punishment does more harm than good in today's society. And kids, through their peers, some kids consider the peers talk about that's abuse. That's abuse. They're not allowed to hit you, And usually the ones that say that parents not allowed to hit you, that's abuse. Those are the ones that's the bullies in school. So they're doing it to somebody else, but they don't want you to calm them down. Come home with you got 5 classes, you come home with 5 Fs. And if your parents spank you, then you get upset. That's abuse. You can't put your hand on me. Okay, that's fine. The parents need to find another method. Okay, you can't starve the kid, but you can reduce how much they eat. You can't tell the child, hey, come in at 10. They still don't want to come in at 10, but you can lock all the doors and make sure they ain't got their key. There's ways you can do things so they communicate with you. Then when they knock on the door, try to get in, they come in. Then they know that the only way they can come in is through you let them in. And then some kids feel guilty about that, waking their parents up when they got to go to work the next day. Or they feel guilty because they love their parents. Their parents show a lot of love to them. So that causes them to stop doing the things they do. Not all kids are bad. Not all kids are good either. But it's based upon the raising technique that you use for their kids. And also based upon the peer pressure that the child have too. Who they hanging out with, who they communicating with, which uncle they talking to. Keep them away from Uncle Johnny. Johnny can't keep that beer out of his hand. He can't keep that cigarette out of the other one. Model the behavior you want. Kids learn by modeling what their parents do, not what they say. You can talk to your kids all day long. They say your attention span of a child might be 5-10 seconds. All depends on that child and their age. But they'll sit there and watch you for an hour, see what you do. So they model what you do, not what you say. Adopt a calm, firm, and non-controlling mindset. For example, Emma doing homework, throws up books, and talks, and starts shouting. I can't do this, blah, 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 blah. This blah, blah, blah is ridiculous. So what do? You don't yell at Emma and say, pick that book up. I'm tired of you talking about you can't do something. You better not bring back home a DOF. You just interject yourself to what Emma was doing. You didn't bring Emma down. You got to bring Emma down. Be calm. Talk to her at a nice, monotone voice. Don't be yelling at Emma. You tell Emma, listen, you don't pick that damn book up. No. Just be calm to her and make sure she understands what you're saying. Studying your watch with your spouse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, there are estimated 72 million dads across the country. 29 million of them are also grandfathers. In addition, in 2020, an estimated 70% of U.S. children live with 2 parents, about 20% with their mother only, and 5% with the father only, and 5% with no parents. These were the kids that was abandoned or kicked out or whatever, and ended up going to group homes or youth detention centers or centers, not detention centers, but youth centers or somewhere like that. Or these are runaway kids as well. The role of a father can begin even before the child is born. You don't have to, a lot of fathers probably get me on this, say, what you talking about, man? How you going to be a father to something that's not even here? You're a father to the child when the child is born. Now, you're a father to that child when that person, that woman who's carrying that child is pregnant. Because that child is developing, that child is moving, that child is eating, that child is breathing. That child just not have came into this world yet. So the pregnancy stage of fatherhood can be a time to bond with your partner and support her throughout her pregnancy. Now, this might complicate a lot of fathers or to-be fathers, the ones who's already wife or significant other is pregnant. Yeah. Come on, if you want to be a player, listen to what I'm saying. If you want to be in the doghouse or want to be looked at through the cross-eyed or the side look, don't listen to what I'm saying. Throughout her pregnancy, by attending doctor's checkups and discussing a birthing plan and parenting styles ahead of the new baby's arrival. So often, parents will wait till the child is born and then decide how they're going to raise the child. You got 9 months to decide what sort of method you're going to use to raise that child. You got 9 months to say the name you're going to say that child. Sometimes that doesn't work, though. I mean, when my son was born, my ex-wife already said that she had a name for him. I said, I'm not going to call him no Junior, because I said, 'cause the name Emery is outdated. I said, the closer relations you can make the Emmett Smith wasn't around at the time. I said, the closer relation you make the Emmet is that doggone clown out there. And I said, I don't want my son to seem like he's a clown. Came through the birth canal. I cut the umbilical cord. The doctor said, what's his name? Well, after he smacked him on his butt. He said, and then he got him to breathing. He said, what's his name? My ex-wife started talking. I said, Emmett Jr. Then she looked at me with that side look and that cross-eyed. I said, Emmett Jr. This one time I didn't stutter. I'm sure my son went through the same thing when he said, call his son Emmet the Third. I'm sure my grandson goes the same thing when he calls his son Emmet the Fourth. Hopefully I'll be alive to see Emmet the Fourth. Now, husbands, protect your wives, be it physical, mental, emotional, or psychological. A husband must protect his wife from anything that can harm her. Your wife must feel safe and secure in your presence. The worst thing you can have, husband, is your wife feeling safe and secure by another man, whether it be more safe and secure by her son, more safe and secure by her brother, more safe and secure by her colleague. No, you the husband, you the head of the household, you the head. You was created first. So you are supposed to be that emulator figure in the household, in that woman's life. Next, husband, lead your wife. Lead them. You lead them through small things. Though duties are new being shared with wives in this day, wives sharing the duties, so you ain't got to worry about doing a whole lot of duties in the household. They also do some gardening, and they also do some cutting the grass, so they're sharing the duties. And age, in this day and age, taking charge of your responsibility and leading certain duties at home is the role of the husband. I mean, this is what gets me. Husbands, if you are doing your duties in that household, please explain to me via email, why will you need a to-do list? Why would your wife have to create a to-do list if you're doing your duties? A to-do list is created when you say, well, give me more work to do, want me to do something around the house. You're probably spending 3 hours on household, 21 hours on TV. 3 hours on household, 15 hours on video games, 3 hours on TV. While she cleaning, cooking, you go out there and you cut the grass and you hedge the hedges, and then you say, wait a minute. Then you hire somebody to cut the grass, do the hedges. So you're not out there anymore doing that. Husband, be patient with your wife. Your wife is an individual. She will not have the same behaviors or thoughts as you. There may be times when she nags or times when you do not like something about her. Be patient. Remember to appreciate her individuality and not criticize or dislike her for the small things that she does. Many times your wife has your goodwill at heart when she says or does something. Try to be gentle when you want to let her know that you dislike something about her. Also, avoid openly criticizing or doing so in front of others. Respect your wife. Show her the love physically that you say to her verbally. Don't get too complacent over the years. I showed this the first 5 years of our marriage. And you might be married for 25 years. A marriage is a constantly ongoing process. You're ever learning in the process. So you could be working for a job for 30, 25, 30, 20, 25, 30, 40 years. And you constantly do training and development throughout the years. You're constantly learning things throughout the years. You're constantly developing yourself throughout the years. But you don't do it in the household. You become complacent. You have to get educated and up to date in the household too. Well, if your wife's still growing and you're not, and then she's seeing, through her growth, she's seeing things differently than the way you both saw them before. And then she's come to you and speak to you about these things, but you don't want to evolve. You don't want to go further. Avoid criticizing her or doing so in front of others. I don't care if your boy there, my boy be here all the time and he understand what we talking about. But you just disrespected her in front of somebody else. That's behind closed doors. That's confidential stuff. It's supposed to be done. You don't even do that in front of kids. Wives, did you think you're going to get off the hook? Wives, love your husband unconditionally. In a marriage, a man wants to be liked, loved, and appreciated, just as a woman does. Even if we sit back and we don't show it, we want to be loved. We want to be touched. We want to be hugged. We want to be kissed. We want to be caressed. Even if it's only for 1 or 2 minutes. At least it shows affection. We may not want you to do it for a period of time, but we want it to happen. And if it doesn't happen, we question why it's not happening. If she's giving that love affection to somebody else, men like to be out there in their thoughts. I know you know that woman. Wives, give unconditional love to your husband physically and emotionally. We need that emotional stimulation. Today was a good day for you, wasn't it? That was a great job. You did that. Oh, I see the growth that you're having. Don't just take the compliments from when the husband give it to you. You got to give those compliments back too. Wives, keep him honest and dignity. Make sure you have honor and dignity for him. Keep him honest. Do not fight with him or criticize him in front of others. Do not do that. Do not try to be the alpha when everyone else is around. Do not indulge in gossiping about your husband. Do not do that. I don't care if it's your mom, your sister, or your best friend. Do not gossip about your husband. Husband don't gossip about wives. That stays between the both of you. Anything that's done in the household stays in the household. You're going to say anything done in Vegas stays in Vegas. Anything done in your household stays in your household. I mean, you dissolve your issues in your household. You don't involve someone else into your issues. If it's a situation where it's harm being done to one of you, yeah, let someone know about that situation there. If you're being struck, let someone know. If you've been treated unfairly, badly in the household, yeah, you let someone else know. But just to gossip, don't do that. If you have any issues, sort it out between the two of you. Always remember that you are your husband's confidant, and he trusts you the most. He may not say you his best friend, but he trusts you the most. I trust my wife the most. And it's sad to say, but I trust my wife more to the degree than I trust my kids. My kids, they're my genes. But it's something about the wife and the husband that connection is a little bit different than the parent and the child. And it's biblical. So that wife's supposed to trust their husband more than she trusts the kids. And then they both come to agreement when there's misunderstanding and live a positive lifestyle in the household and outside the household in front of the kids. Wives, be available. A wife needs her husband company, and a husband needs his wife. Spend some time with each other. You are each other's companion for life. But I think for 5-year period, divorce was just common. Married for a year, divorce. Married for 2 years, divorce. Married for 3 years, divorce. Before that, you was married for 15, 20, 30, 35 years. And for 5-year span, the only way she could be your companion for life if you're working together. If y'all working together in the household, working together, like I just said, then you're looking together, being together for life because you're both growing and developing and communicating on the same level. You are each other companion for life. Be there for him when he wants to talk to you. Listen to him and advise him if required. And take care of his needs. It shows that you love and care for him. Support him and be his genuine advisor. Wives, seek his opinion. When you seek your husband's opinion, it does not make you any lesser. It does not build up his ego and his confidence, even if he shows action that it does, but it doesn't. In fact, it shows you value his opinion and respect him. Let him be your counselor whenever you need some advice. Stand in your watch. That's what I'm talking about. So you stand firm in what I just said so far and committed. You stand your watch. I mean, you don't deviate from it. You don't allow anything to come in to cause harm or danger to you and your kids, you and your work, you and your spouse. Now, there's a few quotes I want to. So I was talking to an LB, a line brother today, and he mentioned a couple of articles from Fran Dulon Hans Fo Kuhn. And I said, you know what? I read a lot of his quotes when I was working on my doctorate degree, and I started searching for my information from the paperwork I had, the documents, and I found them. So I'm gonna say a few quotes. He said, "No person are more frequently wrong than those who will not admit they are wrong." That's all I'm gonna say. He said, "It is easier to be wise for others than for ourselves." We are so accustomed to disguising ourselves to others that in the end, we become disguised to ourselves. Wow, that's powerful. You don't even know who you are. That's sad. In other words, you so busy lying all the time. True love is like ghosts, which everybody talks about and few have seen. We rarely think people have good sense unless they agree with us. How many people you know like that? And lastly, thinkers think and doers do. But until the thinkers do and the doers think, progress will be just another word in the already overburdened vocabulary by sense. So before we close, I want to talk about my niece's book. My niece wrote a book. I don't remember her last name. I just call all my family Emery. That's easy to remember. So we're going to say Erie Emery is her name. It's entitled The Other Side of Midnight. Now, the book is based on this horrific incident that happened. A husband committed suicide. And he had suicide tendencies prior to it happening. And reading the book, there's something getting from this book because she never talked to me about it. From the book, I gathered that he confided in her on issues, but she didn't know how to deal with it at the time. No one really know how to deal with that. And he happened to be a police officer, which means he had resources to assist him with that area. But long story short, she talked about from start to finish her involvement and before, during, and after the event. And let me tell you a little bit about Erie. Dr. Erie S. Emery. Oh, Crawford is the last name. I'll be damned. PhD, LSW. Is currently a program director for the University of Chicago Department of Medicine and an active Christian whose life is guided by faith. I love it when the Christians say that. She is an accomplished program director, public speaker, mentor, and healthcare/social service professional with close to 25 years of experience in the field. Damn, that means I'm old as hell. I remember when I was I'll leave that alone. A childhood experience with the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services compelled her to pursue a career as a social worker to advocate for underprivileged people and underserved community. My childhood experience got me the hell out of there. I don't know how the hell my niece ended up back in there. Oh my goodness. Dr. Emery Crawford holds degrees in social work from the Loudoun University, Chicago School of Social Worker, and a PhD in business psychology from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. That's a picture of her on the back cover, if you can see it. Yeah, she looked like she took a picture when she was 26 years old. I even texted and said, why you put a picture that was age 26 on the thing? She said that picture was taken last year when I was age 59. Oh my God, you still single? Well, thank you for tuning in this week as we talked about standing your watch. And whenever there's a situation whereas you feel that you're taking a step back, I ask you to stand firm, be bold, and stand your watch. And in addition to that, I also ask you to subscribe to me. Till we meet again. Goodbye and so long.